Hello everyone. So today we are on the session 8 where we will get into the cloud. Till now everything was in local. Now we are going to move it into the cloud to get better collaboration. Okay. So now what did we do locally? We have initialized it, we have created files, modified files, deleted files, try to get information about the commits using the logs, the git status. We have branched, we have merged, we have deleted branches. All this is done, but all this that we did was in our local. Okay, so whatever we did git add, git commit, and finished off. Right now we need to push our code into the remote repo, wherein our changes go into the remote repo. And remote repo is nothing but something in the cloud that is hosting our git service. Okay, and when we want to pick all the changes into the local, you have something called as fetch, and you have pull. The pull is nothing but you fetch the code basically to check what is new and what is not, and then plus if you merge it, that becomes the pull. Okay, so we will speak about that in detail in the future sessions. But as of now, what I want to focus is we were working in local, now we are moving to something towards to the cloud. Okay, so like I also already mentioned, version control tool or source code management is basically you're tracking any modifications to your code. Okay, if you want to know more of this, we have covered it in session 2. Now like I told you, this is called remote repositories, right? Now what is the top view of this? So consider each of this, your 3 different employees or colleagues working on a project. This is how it would look. Each one would have their working directory or staging area and local repo, but you all will be having a single remote repo. Okay, and you all would be pulling the latest changes, and once you work on it, you would commit it and then push it. Just a pointer, you don't directly push it. The best practice is always to pull the latest changes again and check if someone has done some other changes. That would save of lot of your chaos. Okay, but we will do that in future. But yeah, this is basically what each of you would be doing to keep the remote repo updated and for you to continue working. Now when you come to remote repo, we only remembered GitHub. Okay, but actually is it only GitHub? No, we have so many other options and many more options. Okay, but these are one that are commonly used, and the most used is GitHub. And because we are starting to learn the remote repository, it's best to start that is one which is mostly used, right? Now what is GitHub? I think you would have already got an idea. It's a remote repository, right? It's a cloud based repository that is hosting the git changes, right? The best way to start learn how to create an account, you can go to session 3a wherein we have done this in detail. Okay, all this thing what GitHub does was an SEM part, but apart from SEM, GitHub is now the social networking site for people in the software industry. Okay, because we are uploading lot of our projects, our work, and we also follow people and we create our own profile. So if you don't have a GitHub profile, it's a good time to start. Next we would go to pushing and cloning with GitHub. If installing GitHub, I would call it as the step 0 because that's the base. Now the first thing you will need is the pushing and cloning with the GitHub. That is the first step, right? Where to start. Now before we start, the connection between the Git and the GitHub is based, you need to have some protocols there, right? Some kind of security, data encryption there. And there are the most common method that is used is HTTPS and SSH. Okay, your choice is based on whether you want simplicity or you want security. Okay, if you want security, you go with SSH, and simplicity obviously it's HTTPS. Now in SSH, what happens, we generate a SSH key, and that becomes like a password or the talking point between Git and GitHub. I won't be taking up SSH today. Let me know if you need it. I will create a session about it later. But HTTPS is where you use the password authentication, wherein you give the username and password. And previously, every time you did a Git pull or everything, you had to give a username password every time. Okay, Now we have got something called like a credential manager, which comes installed by default when you're installing the Git. So if you have installed the Git with me, you would have done that part, and I had explained this part as well. If you have not to worry, we just have to use few commands to fix this up. Okay, that's about ways it will connect, right? Now going ahead, there are two possibilities when you do the first step. One is the possibility, if you are not working in an office environment, you would have the code in your local, the project in your local, the repo in your local, and you would want to push it into the GitHub. Okay, so what you would do, you would use the push command, and once you push, the changes would be there. Okay, and your repo still remains the same, nothing it's untouched. Another example, which is the most common case when you're working, obviously when you're working in a company, already the project would already be there. You are not probably the one who's starting the project, so it's already on the GitHub. Okay, what you do is you need to have a copy on a local. Your machine doesn't have any copy as of now. Once you clone it, then after that you would have a clone in your machine, and nothing would change at the GitHub state. Okay, this is only about getting the first copy of the project into the GitHub or from the GitHub, right? We'll be doing the practicals in detail for both push and clone. Okay, so what we will do is we will select one existing Git repo from my local, and then we will create one remote repo, I mean an empty folder in the GitHub, and then we will connect the local project folder to the repository on GitHub, and then we will push the change. Okay, so I have already have a Git repo in my local, so this would be the repo that I have created, remote repo project. So, and it has so many files. So let me open my bash, and let me redirect to the folder. Okay, I have redirected to my folder. Let me move it here, and let me pull these commands here. Yes, now that we have done that, now this is the particular project or the local repo that I want to push to the GitHub. Okay, so let me pull on my GitHub account, and create, as per our second step, we create another remote repository. Let me use the same names that I would have used before, and remote repo to demo the push, the first push, and I say create repository, and our repository is created. And GitHub, you see, is so good at giving instructions. It already has given us all the instructions that we need. So there are two cases: either you create a new repository on the command line, or you push the existing repository from the command line. This is what we are doing now. So the next command is to create or add the origin. Basically we are telling Git who the name of or the location of the GitHub which it is going to be associated with, and that is origin. Okay, so we are telling Git remote add origin and the path. This path is nothing but the path of this repository. Okay, so let me copy this and just paste this and say enter, and let me say check if it's done successfully. Yes, it shows as origin. Now what is the second command? Git branch -m main. So what it means is, because we are calling the branch master, many of the remote repository have moved from master to main. Why is it? I've already explained to you before in the previous sessions, and many have moved to main. So if you would like to go the same path, you could do that. So let's go ahead. I think I'll probably show you all the difference. So say git branch, and it says master, right? So let me put this command, and now the thing has changed, see, from master to main. Okay, next is where we will push it, and what we are saying is where are we pushing it? To the origin, which we have already shown. What are we pushing? The main of the local. Generally normal push we don't mention minus u. So adding minus u, what it means is it is an upstream. So in future you can just write git push, you don't need to write git push origin main because you have already set the origin and the main. Okay, so let me just get this done, copy and paste it and say run, and this is done. Okay, and the first time you do this you will get a screen wherein you need to provide your git credentials. Okay, because that's the only time, the first time, and then because I've already given my git credentials, it's not asking for me again. But if it's your first time, you will just get a pop-up and you just have to fill in the username and password. Okay, so going ahead, now that we have pushed our change to GitHub, let's cross check if that change has really come. Okay, as you see 5 minutes ago that files have come up here, right? So that is done. That's the case 1. Okay, now we move on to case 2, which is my preference because this is what is gonna happen when you're working in a company. They would already have the, like I said, they will already have a project. You need to get a copy to your local. Okay, so what we will do is first we'll create a repo in GitHub or refer to an existing repo. So let me check if I have an existing repo to demo. Yeah, we can use this repo in GitHub. We can use this. Okay, so this is gonna be the repo we have chosen. Post this, we will just use git clone and this path. Where is this path picked from? Just click on code and you have it here. So in case your communication was with SSH, you had to use something else, but since we are using HTTPS, this is how it is. Okay, so you can just copy and say git clone and the path, and the cloning has been started. Oops, I think we should have moved away from the remote folder, so let's do it again. Cd dot we'll create a folder in our local. So let me mkdir, I have an issue with the k, my case 2. Okay, and I'll say cd my case 2. Yeah, and then let me do the push again, I mean the clone again. So the clone is being created in my case 2. Okay, so let me just go to my case 2, and you see what some changes have come down, right? So that is how it is. You just have to figure out the repo. You need to ask your team which repo are they working on, and you just need to clone it. Okay, so once you have done cloning, what would you do next? Basically you will continue working because that's in your local, right? So you will continue working. I will probably just show you all by just editing particular file. Which one do I? Simple print. So let me open my bash again, and let me move to the folder. So this is our git folder. So cd, remember the code because I usually forget. So yeah, we have come to this path. Let me move it here. So I will open the simple print file and edit it, and like in the general scenario you would continue to do your coding in your local. So and you will, since we have been doing a lot of changes using the code command, opening Missy and changing, in real life that is not how it works. Once you are having the latest, you would be continuing your work with the code editor. So let me quickly open VSC, that's my folder, or if this is not the folder it's wanting and you need to change, you can just redirect here. So let me open simple print and say and change this to I now like GitHub and git. So file, save, and let me just close git status, and so git add, same process what we were doing, right? We are working, and then once we are done we will commit it -m some random message. So this is not how you write comments. Like I said, our goal is not to learn how commenting now. It's about showing you what to do once you pull the clone the changes. Okay, now you have added and committed, it's in your local repo. We need to move it into the remote repo, and to do that, always it's a best practice to first again pull and see, because while you were doing all this someone else would have committed, and say you didn't pull, it will further lead to conflict. So just let's do git pull origin, and it says it's already up to date, so let me do git push, and it pushed our changes. Okay, you can start reading these things, which will slowly start making sense. Check if the change has really happened. Let's move on to repository, and you see the simple print was updated a minute ago with some run. That was the comment I had given, right? So it means the changes have reached the remote repo. So that's how you push or change, and that is how is the sequence of how you work at your workplace. Okay, in terms of remote repo, we still have to cover the fetch and the pull, and we will cover it in the coming following series. You also will be working with when there's conflicts between the remote and the local. So that's all for now. If let me know if you have any doubt or you're stuck at any point. We'll try to help you. Thank you.